out of town, sharing a dream with anyone. She's made it through heaven, she's made it through hell. It's just another story to tell. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen, filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights, making up a bar queen on the phone in the great big boulevard, the place she belongs. It's just another story she tells. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen, filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights, through Hollywood nights, through Hollywood nights. You always looked after me, brother, when we were children. You always had my back. You took all the blame when our father caught us doing things that drove him mad. Through the years I could lean on you when I messed up. I'd call you in the night, but I broke too many promises and we split up. Though I still need ya, you gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I got into this awful spot. I don't know where it ends, so I can use your helping hand tonight. I wanna say that I'm sorry, I got sidetracked and I left you in the cold. I've seen your side of the story, I felt the drawback. My mistake took its toll. Finally, I have realized I was dead wrong. I wasn't thinking straight. No more lies, and from here on out I'll be better, 'cause I still need ya. You gotta save me now. I'm slipping so far down, it's only you I trust to set me free from this. I don't know how I
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday night episode of The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Tonight is episode 148. It is August 18th. Now, while episode 148 may not mean anything in the grand scheme of things, numerically speaking, episode 148, because of the way that the first several episodes were arced and that they were not this show was not a weekly show initially. The first several episodes of this thing were about once every 2 to 3 weeks. Then they became every 2 weeks or so. So episode 148 now has become a very important episode. And why is that? It's because it's our birthday. Yeah, what a great version. It's our birthday. 148 episodes means 3 years. 3 years of The Heart of a Villain. That's right. This week, 3 years ago, was the very first episode of The Heart of a Villain, covering the world meet that was 2019 in LA. Oh, 3 years, guys. This is so crazy. We're going to be hitting episode 150 within 2 weeks' time. Streaming forward to episode 200. This is crazy. Episode 148, which is, boys, yeah, 3 years. Thank you guys so much. I absolutely could not be here without you guys. Those of you who have been here since the beginning, and those like Tim who are a relatively new viewer, as he said earlier. 3 years. As I said from the get-go, we're gonna relive some of the good, bad, and the ugly. We've done it a couple times here in the past 147 episodes. We've gone back and looked at some things. But here, 3 years in, on our birthday, we have to look back on a few things. And it's so funny to look back and see how bad the production was. We've gone through several different variations of setups, equipment, and all sorts of different things going on. We're going to talk about specifics, but man, 3 years, guys. I never would have imagined. I would have hoped 3 years ago that this would have lasted at least 3 years. And it's what I told people I was going to do, that this was not going to end and I was not going to give up early on. And it's just been so much fun for me. I said from the get-go that this show is as much your show as it is my show, because I depend on everybody out there, everybody that's listening, everybody that's viewing live, but most importantly, to the listeners who have been around since the beginning. We weren't here live doing the YouTube thing until episode 25. And those first 24 episodes really set the table for what this show could be, the type of content that it was, and the response that I got in the Bearded Villains community, but also outside of the Bearded Villains community from people who were beneficiaries of some of the charitable things that the villains were doing, some of the family members who reached out and talked about some of the amazing things that they've experienced within their own families, within their own communities. It's just been a blast. So everybody that is here, that has been here since the beginning, first of all, thank you, because early on, you, early on, you could have listened to this thing and thought, what the hell is this? I mean, I was so stoic. I was so blah in the sound quality, and I sounded like I was reading from a book because I tried to edit everything out, and all the all the stuff that makes this show human. Way back in the day, I was editing it out because I thought it had to sound a certain way. And then over some time, over several months, I kind of found our voice here for the show. We kind of found a voice for what this show is going to be. And it's, as I've told many people before, I want this to feel like it's a show that's happening around a campfire. So it's never going to be perfect. The speech patterns are never going to be perfect. I'm going to say, all that stuff in there. I try not to do it as often as I used to. I've gotten better, but 3 years, guys, 3 years. This is just so awesome. So I have to say thank you. Thank you, all you who are watching right now live on YouTube. I'll get to you in just a second. Everybody that's listening and has been listening on a standard podcast platform since the beginning. Those of you who are listening live, watching live on YouTube, if you are not a subscriber to this channel, I'll get into the importance of that in just a few minutes. If you're not a subscriber already, make sure you subscribe. Since we're in 3 years, it would really help and be really cool if you could, those of you who are loyal viewers of the podcast and live stream, if you can reach out to a few other villains and say, hey, check this out, get over there and subscribe to it. Subscribe to the show. It'll really help us out. And it helps us out for a couple of different things, because if we hit a certain mark of subscribers, I can do some pretty cool things with the show from a live stream perspective. And that gets into the future. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe and then pass it on. Let's get this show up and on the live stream end of things and really crank it out as well. So let's reach out and say hello to everybody that's here live with us. And I know we've had a bunch of conversation, comments, and everything coming in here. So I'll try to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Mr. K-Mac, BBNC in the house. First one to comment tonight. How you doing, buddy? Buddy, Mr. Buddy Griffith. Love that guy. He just makes me smile every time I see him. Even if he's not smiling, I'm smiling. Reverend Nick, how you doing? Good to see you here. Tim, as you said, you told me you're a relatively new viewer. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Hopefully you're getting something out of this and really enjoying and being able to feel what this show's all about. Go back. I encourage you to go back and watch some of the others or listen to some of the others. I would say listen to them. It's easier to listen to the older shows while you're doing something else around the house. D Lucky 13. Man after my own heart with the 13 on there for sure. My favorite number. How you doing? Good evening. Forge is in the house from my chapter here. Rababa is hanging out with us as well. Gosh, that dude. I had such a great time meeting Rob the last few weeks, starting at World Meet and finally at World Meet, and just hanging out with him. And I've been able to hang out with him a few more times since World Meet, since he's been in town. And happy you're home safe. Sucks that you're back home because I can't see anymore, but good to see you back home safe. I know you just got home not too long ago. Frank and Beans is hanging out with us as well. Good to see you. Ivan is here. So is Mars and One Feather. Mr. Wayne, good to see you here. As we scroll through, Paul is making an appearance tonight. Paul is making an appearance. Good to see you. Alex as well. Mr. Gra, the Grazilla. Brian, how you doing? Good to see you here today. Mark, that man. The man of all edits, everything that is good in the world of editing. people's pictures to make them feel good. It's awesome. Mark, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Nismo. STI. I don't know who you are, but good to see you here. Mr. Dahlstrom, Brian, how you doing? Good to see you. As we scroll through, see if we've got anybody else making comments with us live. Andy is also with us. He says, 3 years, amazing BP. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Papa is also here saying happy anniversary. I don't know if is it anniversary or birthday? I just call it birthday. It could be anniversary as well. All one and the same. Richard says, congratulations. Thank you so much. Man, it's just so much fun. Bearded AF vet, buddy. Good to see you in here as well. Let's see. Anybody else in here with us? Well, you guys are commenting way too fast. Rob's cracking me up. He says he met way too many people at the World Meet. Yeah, you probably did. So, guys, man, August 18th. So the deal here is that why I'm celebrating 3 years is because this is the week that was the first episode. And as I've said before, the first several episodes were every few weeks, but the first episode actually aired August 16th. So this week, 2 days earlier, this week back in 2019. And I'm going to play you a little snippet of this because you guys that are here now, you know how I am. You know how this show goes. You know the feel of the show and the flow and how we've kind of adapted things over what has taken 3 years to kind of get us where we are at right now. And to look back and listen to it's just so painful to listen to some of the stuff. But there's some really cool things that I want to go back and revisit as well. And we'll hear some voices from the past and some fun little conversation things going on as well. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun tonight, boys and girls, everybody that is here. I want to get in real quick because I have no idea where this show is going to take us and how long it's going to be on. I mean, I just have no idea. So I want to get in real quick to the standard business practices that we got to get out of the way with the merch. And we have several chapters to celebrate this week with some of the cool things that they've been doing in the last week or two. So I want to get into those as well. So without further ado, let's get quickly into our merch. All right. So merch this week. Some of this stuff is old. It's been around for a week or two, but we're going to fly through those that we've already seen before. So get your crayons, pencils, paper, all that other stuff out quickly. 3-star villains. They have this is only going to be, I think, live for another week or two. They have the X Factor patch. They have the logo shirt and 2 different variations of their X Factor shirt, or X Factor hat, if I can talk, hat. Ranging from $22 to $25. Shirts are $15 to $27, and the patch is $13. Bearded Villains Michigan still has a few of these patches left, guys. Help some brothers out. Get their 501c3. $12 for these guys. Hit up Bearded Villains Michigan on Instagram for further information so they can get this thing set up and grab one of these pure villain patches. That's what you need. The Saints, New England, they still have a few of these guys out there. I've heard very good things about anybody that's had one of these in their hand. It's a challenge coin. It looks plastic because it's colored, but it's metal, and it's pretty substantial. So hit up New England, hit up the Saints, $20 for these challenge coins. The link is on their IG page. Blackshire Villains, they have a merch release going on right now of all sorts and sizes and variants. So they've got a 3/4 sleeve raglan and Oxford shirt, various configurations of a playing card shirt and hoodie. Looks like they got a sleeveless hoodie. They've got a varsity jacket, all sorts of good stuff in there. BlackshireVillains.BigCartel.com is where you're going to go for those. Next up, Bearded Villains Kentucky, their flood relief patch is still available. It goes towards their event we're going to be mentioning a little later in the show that's raising money for the flood relief. Their Appalachia flood relief patch, $10, available at bvky.bigcartel.com. Upstate Villains still have some merch out there available. They're throwing some stuff together, it seems like all the time. Their X Factor shirt for $25, and then they've got a slew of different variants of shirts and stuff with the awesome 90s throwback tee ranging in prices in the 20s. It's available at bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. It's not just these two variations either, so get out there. There's a whole bunch of stuff to look at. bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. Montreal still has their Pride Patch out, available for $15 at montrealbeardedvillains.com. And the Eastern Washington Bearded Villain chapter, Beast Side, that's right, Beast Side Villains are selling their Beast Side Villains patch for $12 at ewbv.bigcartel.com, ewbv.bigcartel.com. Proceeds going to the Alzheimer's Association. And last but not least, my chapter, you got to get one of these things. These are awesome, paying homage to a very popular and awesome rock album cover once in the day. This is the Bearded Villains Northern Indiana Ezra Crow World Tour T-shirts. That's right. Go out there, grab one of these things. They're available at bvnorthernIndiana.bigcartel.com. Has the awesome logo on the front of it, and then also the World Tour city date, or the cities on it. This is the these are all the locations that members of the chapter have represented the chapter at throughout the last year. So bvnorthernIndiana.bigcartel.com is where you can get those, and that's all the merch I have for this week. All right. Ford is telling me I need a bit of bourbon. Well, I've got some. It's celebratory night. It's 3 years, right? I got the Old Forester 115 out. Well, it's 115, but it's it's the 19. You know how that works, right? Anyway, so but yeah, I'm taking care of that there, Forge. Don't worry about that. Okay, guys, I want to celebrate before we get in too far into before we get into the actual celebration. I want to celebrate some of the really cool stuff that our chapters have been doing and celebrating themselves the last couple of weeks. So we're going to get into some chapter news. All right. So we've got a few chapters, a couple of chapters that have released some amounts of monies that they raised from their events that are going to charity. And then we've got a couple of other chapters that have been busy, boots on the ground, doing some good work. So first up, I want to show you the 3-Star Villains. 3-Star Villains. They came together and worked with the Project Love Strong, unhoused outreach, packed over 100 bags of items for the homeless in Nashville. I believe it was where there was, I think. 3-Star Villains, over 100 bags. Yeah, it says downtown Nashville. There you go. Very good. Kudos to you guys. Great job. Love seeing this kind of stuff coming together. Big crowd. That looks like a big family event they had afterwards. So great job, guys. Next up, First Coast Villains. The First Coast Villains are another one of the groups that did a back-to-school school supply event. So they had their back-to-school bash. They provided 48 haircuts, and over 75 kids got school supplies from this event that they hold. So very good to see. Thank you guys so much for representing. Great job, First Coast Villains, as well. Next up, remember a few weeks ago up in Canada, the Lakeshore, Toronto, and OSW chapters came together for an event called Beards for Bucko. I was there. It was amazing. It was an incredible time, not just because it was my first time in Canada, but it was such a cool event, the way that they organized it. I can't wait for the next year's event. But all in all, it's charity, right? And they're raising money for Camp Bucko. And they raised $8,246.88. They got really, really, really strict with their dollar amount there. Down to the penny, $8,246.88. With your support, for everybody that bought shirts, participated in the different various events throughout the weekend. Thank you guys so much for hosting it, for doing such a great job. And everybody that did go to that, thank you as well. Great to see that. Next up, from the World Meet, I'm sorry, that's next up. The Bearded Villains Western Oregon chapter. Bearded Villains Western Oregon chapter. We just talked about this. If you recall, they had their lupus foundation. They had a beard competition where they were raising money for lupus. And they raised $1,155 for the Lupus Foundation of America. This was a very quickly organized event that they put together because of the venue requirements. So they put this thing together really quickly, organized it, got a beard comp going really fast to raise some money for a great cause. So kudos to you guys. It's not easy to get these things together and to do it in just a handful of weeks. Great job, guys. So nearly $1,200 raised for Lupus Foundation of America. And then finally, I just tried to over-tease it. The gentlemen with the BVC in Chicago have announced that they've raised over $10,000 at last count. Over $10,000 from the World Meet. So great job. I know everybody that went to that thing had such a great time. Over $10,000 raised during the World Meet. So thank you guys, everybody who has been there. Thank you to the BVC guys for doing such a great job in organizing all the weekend's events. And that is your chapter news. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to take a little sip of a very nice bourbon because it's that kind of night. Wow, I just heard myself swallow through the microphone. I should mute that next time I do that. I should mute that the next time. Well, guys, let's take a look back. Join me. I don't have the diddle-loo. Those of you fans of Wayne's World from back in the day will appreciate that. If you weren't a child of the Wayne's World era, then you would have no idea, and you'd probably think I'm just absolutely crazy for what I just did. But join me. Let's look back, if you will. Look back on 3 incredible years with this. Now, I know some of you guys haven't been here the whole time, and that's fine. I have been here the whole time, and I can tell you that it's been a complete awesome ride. At times, I had no idea where it was going to take me, but to look back and realize this, a couple of statistics here for you. In the last 3 years, we've had 148 episodes now. That's this week. I have spoken with brothers and interviewed them from 14 different countries. I have spoken with brothers from over 27 international chapters. Over 27 international chapters. The podcast, audio podcast now, has nearly 21,000 downloads. And the YouTube channel that you're watching me live on right now, if you are, is coming up on 800 subscribers since it went live about 2 years, just over 2 years ago. So we've done some pretty cool things together, guys. 14 countries, over 27 international chapters around the world. We have been able to do the very thing that I wanted to do with this show. And it's just given me a chance to learn. Number one, learn about all this behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing. But more importantly, it's given me a chance to learn from you guys. The absolute very thing, the pinpoint premise of what I wanted this show to be was to reach out and talk to brothers around the world. Not just the U.S., around the world. To talk to brothers, find out why they chose to be a part of this brotherhood. Why they chose to do what they do in their daily lives. Why they choose to push on. What drives them. What makes them want to do the charitable things that they're doing. To change the lives that they're changing. And we've met so many great brothers along the way. Some brothers who have moved on. I looked back on some of the interviews that I've done in the past, and some of the brothers that I've talked to have since decided to depart and move on with their life, and sad to see, but that's the way it works. Other brothers have moved on from one chapter to another. since I've spoken with them first time or a few times. Other brothers have moved on and decided that really it's best for them to be chapterless. And that, as we talked about in a specific episode about, is chapterless a bad word? And we obviously discovered that no, it's not. We have many outstanding and amazing brothers out there who don't hold title to a chapter. They're chapterless and they're awesome. It's not about the individual chapters, as we learned. It's about the men. It's about the men behind the brotherhood. So I think it's really, really cool to see what we've accomplished together, what we have accomplished together in this time. So let's take, if you will, with me, back the doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo. Let's take a trip back in time to 2019, and I hope that you'll have a little bit of patience with me here as we enjoy this. We're going to take a trip back to a time where I edited the heck out of everything. I sounded like I was reading from a book and sounded like I had something shoved up my butt while I was trying to read. No flow at all. So let's take a trip back to episode number 1. And this was the intro. If you were listening for episode 1, this was the intro. Remember what you heard just a few minutes ago, the way this show started out. And this is what you heard for episode 1 in 2019. Get ready for it. Here comes the voice. Yes, please do. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's even worse than I remembered. Oh my gosh. You guys, this is terrible. Yeah. Okay. Stopping that now. I mean, come on. That's where this show started. That's where it started. And people actually wanted to stay on here with this. It was cool. I mean, yeah, they wanted to see what this whole show was all about. But that was episode 1. And you know, it was cool because that got my foot in the door. It got me experienced and messing around with things a little bit. And I was able to find my way, and I had an idea how I wanted to interview people, who I wanted to interview, and kind of the calendar and the timeline that I wanted to stay under with that. And so as time went on, I had episode 2, I had episode 3. On episode 4, I'm just seeing a message that you guys didn't hear a thing. Okay. Well, that makes me angry. Let's see if I can do that again. Wow. All right. Then this episode is going to be edited as well. Let's see what we got here. let's try this again and see why we're not getting any sound. Can you hear that? Can you hear that, folks? Well, this took a side note. I can hear it. I don't know why you guys can't. So you guys just heard dead air. Oh, this is crazy. I don't understand it. All right. Well, that's not working like I hoped. Okay, so let's do this. I have a backup plan. I planned for this in the event that I would not need it, but I do have it. So let's do this. This here is episode 1.
Hello, and welcome to the inaugural, the first ever episode of The Heart of a Villain. This is BP from BVIN, Bearded Villains of Indiana, bringing you news and newsworthy information relating to the bearded villains and their good works anywhere in the world. Now, since this is the first ever episode, and you, the listener, are new to this podcast, let me explain a little about my hopes for this thing and why I wanted to create this podcast.
Hopefully you'll tell me if you hear anything now.
Out by its name, The Heart of a Villain. The purpose of this podcast is to bring awareness and shed light on some of the great, the amazing, and in many cases, life-changing things that some bearded villains around the globe are doing, both individually and as a chapter. BV has been a part of my life since 2017, and I know it's been much longer for many of you listening. One of the first things that I discovered about BV was its reach. With chapters all over the world, more chapters popping up, it seems, every week, I found that despite following on Instagram, it was very difficult to keep up with what the other chapters are doing in their areas and how they are contributing to making others' lives better and all the other good deeds that they're doing on a regular basis. So to that end, it is my hope that this podcast can be a place where I can highlight some of the amazing things that our chapters and in many cases individual brothers are doing. With each episode, I will interview brothers who are changing
This is
lives,
terrible.
or individuals
So as I said earlier, guys,
from
this is
organizations
terrible.
will
I forgot how
benefit from
bad
what the
I
bearded
sounded
villains do.
initially.
It is my hope that I can shed light on every chapter and their activities that they have going on. If I miss something, and I likely will, please.
Yes, I tell you the weather as well. Yes, Mars, I do. So, okay, so that was episode 1. Now that we figured out the issue, I have no idea why it wasn't playing back earlier. But that's where this show started. All that time ago, 3 years ago. And so now we're 3 years in, and I had episode 1, 2, and 3. And episode 4 was an important episode for me personally because episode 4 was a chance for me to see, to actually tangibly feel and see what the Brotherhood was doing with the donations from an event that we covered. Now, this event was down in Kentucky, and this is just a little tiny snippet of an interview. And this was actually two big things for me for the show. This was the first time that I actually interviewed somebody from outside BV. This was the first time I got to interview a person from one of the organizations that was benefiting from the services and or the charitable stuff that BV is doing. And so this quick little snippet here was really neat because looking back on it, how thankful she was and how gracious she was that the Bearded Villain stepped up and chose her charity organization, a very small charity organization as well.
You know, cross your fingers for some grants for
Oh, absolutely.
which the Bearded Villains, oh my goodness, thank you. With saying that, being such a small nonprofit and having a wonderful organization come in and be like, hey, we're going to do the work for you.
Yeah.
You just show up and we'll help you out was just an absolute godsend. Because with us, again, there's 2 of us and we're stretched so thin that that just meant the world to us.
So yeah, 2 employees at this organization that was beneficiaries that year for this organization down in Kentucky. It was called The Well, fighting human trafficking. So very, very, very cool to see. Now, as we moved on, episode 11. Now, this one is funny for a few reasons. Episode 11 was, and I'm not going to take you through every single, I'm only going to take you through a handful of these episodes. But episode 11 was fun for me for a couple of things. On episode 11, I actually spoke with 3 of our brothers simultaneously. And the crazy thing about it was my first international interview with multiple people, but it was an interview where I'm just kind of finding my way, listening to the brothers in Sweden talk about what they're doing. And this was interesting because I had to try. Everybody overseas, of course, now has these accents. And when you're listening to them without seeing them speak, it makes it more difficult for you to actually be able to listen really well, especially when you're talking over an internet line that you have no idea how good the quality is going to be.
Of finding us, we have never have an active scout out there to talk to people like, would you like to join us? It's the opposite way around. We need to say no to people because they don't meet up to our requirements. I think we got like 15 to 25 applies a week or something.
Wow. So this was me speaking with the Bearded Oak and Chalet
from all the
from
brothers
Sweden
around the world. That is everything that you do. They beer sample with food. That's going to be one of the activities.
And that was a really cool one because I'm finding my way, right? And that was the first chance that I had to actually use in this image here that you're seeing. I actually put a camera in front of me to actually video record the interview before I had this whole setup that I do right now. And I was experimenting, like I said, finding my way. And then one of the funniest interviews that I ever did, episode 11. Now, episode 11 was complete chaos, I like to say. Episode 11 was complete chaos because I was speaking with 3 brothers from over in England, and they were trying to tell me about an event. Now, this was me speaking with Clenchy, with Yogi, and Gaz over there, and I want to play this for you because it's hysterical, listening to 3 guys with very thick accents try to talk over each other and me try to make heads or tails of what they're saying. Cool event and sharing the brotherhood and the drinking, but also for the great cause, like you said, that bringing up with Ron McDonald House. So, and you said this is the 4th year that you've been doing this now?
This is the 4th event. It's the 3rd year for supporting Ronald McDonald House. First year was Birmingham Children's Hospital and the cancer charity. And then we
laziness takes away from the Jägermeister. We're doing beer competitions.
That's okay.
English are better at drinking competitions and beer competitions.
That's what I was going to say. Just change it up and have a drinking competition instead.
Well, there we go. We'll put it in your name. Of shots straight away. We have bands. I think we have 4 or 5 bands playing throughout the day as well.
Yeah, we've got 5. I think we've got 5 bands this year. Yeah, we've got 5 bands.
And they're great. They supported us. A few of them supported us in London as well at Villain Fest 4. So they're becoming friends of BV as well that we get back. And yeah, just lots of good vibes, really.
Well, it's no wonder that you get people coming back time and time again. You advertise it as guys just coming for a party and getting drunk.
It is what it is. It's not fancy. It's nothing. It's just a good time.
It's a good sweaty old mess, basically.
Get on the back of a t-shirt.
Well, it can't be that bad.
It's a good sweaty old.
This is Chevy's 4th year, so it can't be that bad.
That's
And
great.
that's my new dating title will be Sweaty Old Mess as well on Tinder. So I'm looking forward to putting that on.
That's okay. Anybody that's interested, Sweaty Old Mess on Tinder.
Mine Sweaty Old Mess. Nobody swore though, so that was good.
Yeah, I know. So far, that's right.
Bollocks! Forgot about that.
Yeah, bollocks. Oh. I'm not even going to lower myself.
There we go. I appreciate that. So that one was hysterical because that was just like a minute and a half. And that interview went on like that for like 30 minutes. 3 of them just talking over each other, me trying to make heads or tails of what they were saying. And then one of them throws out that the event is going to be a sweaty old mess and that's his Tinder name. I mean, that was so funny. But yeah, that was the first time I kind of lost control of the interview. So I was so appreciative of their time. But that was way back in episode 11. Again, we're still static. We don't have video other than what I was trying to record while we were doing it, just for my own edification there. This is the last one that I just want to give you a little snippet from. Episode 13. Now, episode 13 was really one of the first episodes I felt, looking back, where there were some major truth bombs dropped by my guest. And it's one of those episodes, I have a handful in my head of episodes that if people ask me, what should I go back to listen to? You have 140 some episodes previous. I can't go back and listen to them all. But if I was to go back and listen to a handful of them, what are some that I would listen to? And one of the first ones I always tell them to go back to listen to is episode 13. Episode 13 was where I was interviewing Danny from Miami. And anybody that knows how that chapter is run knows that there's a specific way they do things. And they are well respected. They handle their business, and they do so much for charity. But I tell people to go back to listen to that, because the words that Danny said throughout that episode, I couldn't parse out. I'd be parsing out the entire interview. But at the time, I cobbled together about a minute and a half of this that I'm going to play for you now, and it was just, the entire interview was just, every few seconds he was saying something. I was just like, boom, yes, thank you. Needed to hear that. We need to hear that. And so listen, I would encourage you guys, if you haven't listened, to go back to listen to episode 13. Not for me, because remember, episode 13, I was still learning my way. I still sounded like I was reading from a book. But to listen to Danny talk about stuff on episode 13. So just here's a little snippet, just to kind of wet your whistle a little bit.
Doing, brother. It's a pleasure to be here, and an honor, actually.
Oh, it's totally my honor, man. Uh-huh.
And the first thing I told him was, if we're going to have this much manpower, I want to be able to give back. With everything that I've done coming up in my younger years, it's not a lot to be proud of. I took a lot from the city that I grew up in, so I wanted to give back. That was the main thing and the main focus. I told the guys. 2 guys were elected captains, but as they say, leaders are going to lead, and somehow it just fell on my lap to everybody doing charity and doing that, because that's what it should be. When you have this much manpower, not only in your own city but around the world, you should use it to set a legacy, which I think that's what BV is. Us as men setting a legacy for what it is that we're doing in our different cities or countries.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So we've been blessed to be able to be in the community and meet these type of people. And as I tell everybody, anytime there's a person 3 feet away from you, make sure you introduce yourself. They don't know what we do. They don't know what our brotherhood is about, because you never know when's the next time you're going to meet a person that wants to help but doesn't have the resources to help. Because money is one thing. It's having the manpower to do everything you're thinking of. that can make that difference. And that's one of those moments where, us reaching out and saying, hey, we want to be a part of this turned into so much more. And I'm big on tradition, and I really put that into my guys' head. We got to keep doing the same type of charities every year, because we can't be all over the place. As much as we want to help the whole world, we got to build a tradition and build something that people are seeing constantly, because then they're going to want to be a part of it.
So yeah, that was that first interview I had with way back in episode 13 with Danny, and it was a really big eye opener, because it was the first time that I felt like from a guest I was getting some really good commentary on what we want to see moving forward, what we want to push our brothers to be about, and the leadership and the charity and the foundational aspects of what we can be moving forward. And that was way back on episode 13. So episode 13 was also big because it was actually the first of, it was the very first episode that became the weekly format. So on episode 13, that was the one where I said, okay, now I've got enough under my belt. I feel comfortable enough. Yeah, let's do it. We can try and do a weekly show. And it took off from there. Episode 13. Episode 25, if you remember, episode 25 was big because it was the first live stream episode. The first live stream episode that we went on. And what a journey that was. We've struggled at times. With internet issues. We've had fall-offs. We've had internet disconnectivity. Is disconnectivity a word? I don't know. If it's not, I just made it up. But disconnected midstream, sometimes 2-3 times. It's been a journey for us, for all of us. And so that was episode 25. Episode 51, if you'll recall, was important because that was the first on-location shot. That was the Battle of the Beards 2020 down in Evansville, where I thought it would be cool. I tried to do a live stream from the meet and greet location in Evansville, and it was super noisy, and it was my first attempt, and I only did it like 2 or 3 other times. I only tried it 2 or 3 other times to try from a meet and greet location for the show. And you never know what the internet's going to be like. You don't know what the Wi-Fi is going to be like. You don't know what the noise around you, which at that bar was very loud. So it made it difficult. Plus, I had to take all this crap with me. I had to lug this whole studio with me because I had no idea what I would need. So I'm lugging up the stairs of this venue. I got a table set up next to a bar. I have case after case after case of electronics and stuff. I just had no idea what all I'd need. So I just took everything. And what a foolish move that was. But live and learn. The next time I did a live stream somewhere else, I took a little bit less and then a little bit less the next time. But I've stopped doing that now because I want to give credit to our brother Puzzle Man. To our brother Puzzle. Hector. Hector has so many times been a huge voice of reason to me. And after I started this show, and after I've been doing it for a little bit of time, and I started receiving compliments from people saying, thank you for doing this. People reached out and said, I very early on, I heard people reach out to me and say, this was very well needed. I'm really excited about, being able to hear from other chapters because I can't see stuff on Instagram, which is the same thing. The same reasons that I started this to begin with. But very early on, I had people reach out to me and say, thanks for doing this. This is really cool. And then I kind of developed a feeling of necessity. I feel there was an obligation I felt like that I had to do it. I had to do it regularly and I had to do it professionally. And anytime the slightest little hiccup happened, I got really frustrated. I got very, there were a few times I felt angry and I felt embarrassed. I think, because something wasn't going right with the show. And Puzzle was always in my ear. He always has been. Hector has been he has been in my ear, over my head, hovering. Anytime I get down on myself, I get frustrated, and he just says, relax. Just relax. He was the first person to say, you don't need to do these live at the event. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. And he's the reason why he's one of the reasons I don't do that anymore. I've realized that it's so much stress and so much pressure on myself to try and set up. I was losing contact with people. I felt like I wasn't enjoying the events as much. So you live and learn over time. And so I'm so grateful to Puzzle for his words and his kind messages when he's just telling me, and sometimes it's smacking me upside the head saying, listen, just listen to me for a minute. Chill. You don't need to do this way or right now like this. And so I've been very grateful to him for that. But it's been such an incredible journey, guys. We've done, as I look back, we've done some really cool stuff with this show. We really have. Outside of, as I said before, the 27 international chapters, the 14 different countries, the guys that we've talked to from all over the United States and all the other countries, we've covered a lot of information in 3 years. There have been a couple of times where people asked and requested to turn the tables on me and sent in interview questions for me. That was always fun. We had one episode where somebody actually interviewed me instead of me interviewing them. That was fun. There's been a few times where we've had that difficult conversation. And those few episodes when we've really taken to it and really focused and had those hard conversations have been some of the most amazing, some of the most rewarding episodes that we've had of this show. We talked about problems facing society, and we brought people on talking about some stuff. We've talked about all sorts of touchy subjects. Episode 65 was an episode that I had no idea where it would turn on to, I had no idea what it was going to be. I was hoping guys would call in. It was one of those events, one of those shows where I said, call in, which I got to say, when I say call in and nobody calls in, it makes it a rough episode. So come with your questions every so often, guys. But episode 65, that was the episode that I referred to it as, it was the show that took a mental health turn. It was the show that took a mental health turn. And suddenly we had 3 or 4 brothers that called in during that episode, and we started talking about mental health. And we started talking about what we need and how we feel about what we need and ways that we can support each other. And it was completely unexpected, but it was one of the most raw and natural episodes this show's ever had. That was back in episode 65. So I'm so grateful for that. Episodes 140 and 141 were back-to-back episodes talking about BV burnout, another topic that's having the difficult conversation. There were some captains out there that did not want to have that conversation. I will tell you now, there are some people that have been captains and or are captains currently, did not want that episode to happen. They didn't want that conversation to happen because they don't think that you need a voice. They don't think that you have enough time in to have a voice. And we talked about how crazy that is of a thought. And we talked in that episode, in those 2 episodes, about the fact that your time in BV only means that. Your time in BV does not make you worthless or any less valuable than any other brother that may hold that captain rank, right? We talked about that. all that it means if you're a hopeful or if you're a new villain, all it means is that you're new to the brotherhood. And there may be some rules and regulations that you may need to, learn a little bit more about, but it doesn't make you less valuable as a man. It doesn't make you less valuable, your opinion's less valuable as a brother. And there's some people out there that needed to hear that. Sadly, there were some people that needed to hear that, just brushed it off. But those burnout episodes, and I thank Rob for this, for recommending it. Those burnout episodes were huge. They were huge. So we've had some amazing conversations here in 3 years. We've been there for each other in these 3 years, and we've been there to help communities in times of disaster. We've talked about some of our chapters that have done some really amazing things. We're talking about Kentucky chapters right now, selling patches to raise money for flood relief. Episode 99, we talked with our brothers down in Louisiana as they were trying to raise money and help out after the hurricane relief. Episode 43 was very eye-opening because looking back, you'll remember, if you're a listener to the show for a while, do you remember way back, episode 43, so a couple of years ago, you remember that huge explosion that was caught worldwide and it went viral around the world? The huge explosion that happened in Lebanon, the factory that exploded right near the waterway, and the 18 different views, angles, and all the buildings destroyed. There were people killed, the total destruction of that. If you recall, episode 43, that was when we spoke with our brother in Lebanon. He walked us around the city to show us the devastation live. That was a very memorable episode for me. That was very memorable. That was our first time that we actually had a man on the ground, right? Felt like a real news broadcast almost a little bit there, because by then we had the live stream thing going, but we actually had him live walking us through his city, showing us the destruction through his eyes. And we learned about it. And it brought it so much closer to home than any news crew that we've seen on CNN or any other broadcast. That was something that our brothers were living through, and we got to see it here with this show. We got to see with our own eyes the amazing response we had a couple of years ago after the tornadoes ripped through Nashville just before Nash Vegas. The amazing response. Everybody that went to attend that thing brought all sorts of toiletries, water, you name it, they brought it in every vehicle imaginable. There was cleanup that happened the morning of the event. We came together. It was so cool to see. So we've been there for each other, and we've been able to experience major life issues through this show. It's been so much more than I ever imagined it could be because of you guys, because of this brotherhood, and because of your caring hearts and the ways that you guys want to make a difference. It's been so fun to watch. It really has. Well, guys, I didn't know where this would take us, and we've kind of gotten through the point where we reviewed a lot of the highs and lows. We've lost, I would be remiss if I didn't say that, we've had those sad times too, where we have had to pay homage and honor brothers lost. And part and parcel to what we have learned, what we have heard from our brothers, and our conversations with and involving mental health, the very reason why I started long time ago and continue to and always will end each show reminding you that it's okay not to be okay. It's a reminder to us all, and it's also to honor the brothers that we've lost because of mental health awareness and issues. It's been amazing, guys. 3 years down, so many more to go. I don't want to ever stop doing this. I do not want to ever stop doing this. One day, hopefully years and years down the road, when I'm old and can no longer speak, somebody else can take the reins. But until that time, I'm going to keep doing this and telling the stories of our brotherhood and all of the amazing things that they're doing in the world. That is what I want to do. And that's what I'll continue to do. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Okay, guys. So let's see. I want to get into our calendar of events. Now, this is the time where some people start to slowly disappear from the show. But I want to remind you guys, we are at the 3/4 point, right? We're almost at the 3/4 point of the year, and we still have a ton of stuff going on. This calendar is full right now, and I think it's really important that we look for opportunities. There are chances pretty much all over the world, it seems like right now, where you can find a way to attend an event to either get some very much needed brotherhood time and or to help out with charity. So keeping in mind the chapters that currently are selling merch to raise money for things, but also these events that I'm going to be listing here, just think about it. Pay attention. There's some really cool things coming up. So I want to get into it. Radar, I'll answer your question in just a few minutes right after I do this. All right. So, first up, at the end of the month, almost. Well, I say that, and I've just completely lost track of what day of the month it really is after saying it's 300 episodes or 3 years in and whatever it is. August 21st. Makes it seem like it's a long time away, but it's only a few days now. August 21st is Lamb Fest. Lamb Fest. The Blackshire Villains are hosting Lamb Fest. It's the Blackshire family meet at Clifton Park in Rotherham. August 21st. September 4th, here in the Midwest area or the Great Lakes area, depending on what you want to call it, where you're at, the BVC, Bearded Villains Chicago, have their 8th annual Farewell Summer Barbecue Picnic, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., all day long at Harts Road in Niles, Illinois. Bunker Hill Pavilion is where you want to go. They got food, music, face painting, games, and more. They're collecting also donations to help out the homeless outreaches that they do. If you're anywhere near Chicago on September 4th, go to this thing. It's a great Sunday afternoon. It's a very chill, nobody has any jobs. It's just hanging out, barbecue, snacks, family time. It's awesome. So September 4th, Chicago, Illinois. Well, it's in Niles, Illinois. But hit up the BVC for their summer barbecue, end of summer barbecue. And then September 9th through the 11th, we have 2 different events going on that same weekend, different parts here in the States. September 9th through the 11th is Battle of the Beards. Battle of the Beards. Southern Indiana Villains are hosting it in Evansville, Indiana. They have a meet and greet on the 9th, beard competition on the 10th at the VFW Post 1114 in Evansville. Also that same day, or that same weekend, September 9th through the 11th, is the Four Corners Meet. Four Corners Meet. This is a brothers-only event for 3 days, hanging out with your brothers in Cortez, Colorado. That gives you a hint as to which one of the 4 states involved. I want you to do your own research, boys and girls. It's the Four Corners Meet, September 9th through the 11th. Brothers only. It's an outdoor camping adventure hangout time. Everybody that's been there for this thing raves about it. Says it's one of their, if not their favorite meet they ever go to. Four Corners Meet, September 9th through the 11th. Then September 17th, we talked about it a little bit. Kentucky's raising money with a patch for it. It's Villains for Appalachia. BV Kentucky. It's in Lexington, Kentucky. Villains for Appalachia, September 17th. The end of September brings us ECM in Baltimore, September 23rd to the 25th. September 23rd to the 25th is ECM, hosted by the SOMD chapter, Southern Maryland and Chesapeake Bay chapters. It's at the power plant. Everybody's staying, most people anyway, at the Hilton Baltimore Inner Harbor. September 23rd to the 25th, ECM. East Coast Meet is always a good time. You need to go. You want to be there. Also, that same weekend, way over on the other side of the country, here in the States, the California Villains meetup is going on. It's CenCal. Central California Villains are your hosts. It's in Rincon Beach Park. It's on a beach, boys and girls. If you're in California and you want to go to a beach, go. September 24th. That sounds like a good time, too. But I'll be over at ECM. September 30th, we're going to round out September 30th with the BV Beard Competition for Elevate the Spectrum. Bearded Villains New Mexico are your hosts. BV New Mexico. It's at Juno, which is at 1501 First Street in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You got a beard competition starting at 7 p.m. BV Beard Competition for Elevate the Spectrum, hosted by BV New Mexico, September 30th. Then we get into October. October is jam-packed, and I mean jam-packed. Write it all down, boys. Here we go. October 8th, Mississippi BV. They have their 6-year anniversary. Traveling Gnome Beard Competition. The Traveling Gnome is coming out. It's in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's Tupelo, Mississippi at Steele's Dive Bar. You got a 1 p.m. lunch, a 4 p.m. beard competition. I'm sorry, 4 p.m. registration starts. The competition starts at 7. Or no, 4 and then 7 is the after party. I don't know. Just go. Go hang out. October 8th, Tupelo, Mississippi. Then October 14th and 15th. That weekend, there are 3 events going on, depending on where you want to be in the States here. 3 different events. Florida Summit in Orlando, Florida. You got a meet and greet and a beard competition going on there, the 14th and 15th. The Florida Summit in Orlando, 14th and 15th. Also, the 15th is All Villains Eve. All Villains Eve. Phoenix is your host. It's in Mesa, Arizona. Get this. I've said this before, and it's hysterically funny, and it's awesome. They have a costume contest and wrestling. They have a wrestling event. They got vendors, raffles, all sorts of other stuff benefiting the Phoenix Children's Hospital. Wrestling, guys. Wrestling. Oh, they're the only ones doing that. That's awesome. That's October 15th for All Villains Eve. Then also the same day, all the way over across the other part of the country, October 15th in Pennsylvania, is Battleborn Killer Beard Competition. Battleborn Killer Beard Competition. BVPA East is your host. It's at the Wooden Match, 61 West Lehigh in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Beard competition and costume contest is what's on tap. October 15th. And the last 2 items that I've got on the calendar round out the month of October. October 22nd, Villains Night. Villains Night, hosted by BV Utah. Bearded Villains Utah. It's at Handlebar, 751 North 300 West, Salt Lake City. They got a beard competition, costume contest. They are raising money for Family Place, Utah. October 22nd. And then finally, my chapter here in Northern Indiana. We got a bunch of people coming to this thing. It's going to be awesome. The Return of Ezra Crow. Return of Ezra Crow in Northern Indiana. It's in Hobart, Indiana, at the Hobart Moose Lodge, 143 South Hobart Road in Hobart. It's a beard competition, costume contest, family-friendly event. We got kids categories, yo. Yes, we do. We want them all here. It was an amazing time last year. We're stepping it up, bigger, badder, better than ever this year. The Return of Ezra Crow, October 22nd. There's actually a meet and greet on the 21st if you're in town. Come on, Northern Indiana, October 22nd. All right, I need a drink. I think I need to refill. Do I? Maybe. I might need to. Okay. While you're still here, Radar asked me just a few minutes ago, what am I celebrating the 3 years with? And I am celebrating with a 115 proof favorite of mine, Old Forester 1920. Not sponsored, but should be, right? And I just emptied the bottle. Old Forester 1920. Gotta love it. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for being here, celebrating 3 years, 3 amazing years with episode 148. I don't know what else to say about it, guys. Man, so good that you guys were here. And it's the finish. This is going to wrap up episode 148. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, pins, poker chips, all the good stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That's also where you're going to listen to all previous 147 episodes here. Guys, I want to challenge you, as I always do, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. The most important words I say every single episode, guys, and I round them out. Please remember them well. It's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Well, guys, for now, have a great night. Enjoy this week, the rest of this week. Enjoy the weekend ahead. I will see you back here next Thursday night for episode 149. Until then, take care. Stay safe.
From the start to the finish, go hard.